Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Maleje Mamatiba and today I am bringing you a book titled I Am Ndileka, More Than My Surname. So this book has been authored by Ndileka Mandela, who is the first granddaughter of Dr. Nelson Mandela, right? So this book it's basically about her life all the way from childhood up until now, I would think. Yes, because when I checked what she's up to, this is up until now. So this book is basically about a life of a South African woman. Besides the fact that she's a Mandela, I really enjoyed reading her story as a South African woman, the experiences that she has had as a South African woman. So with or without being a Mandela, I really enjoyed her book. So let's get into what the book is actually about. So I really enjoyed her story. Speaking of childhood, she spoke about the influence that her childhood had in her life. I think I hadn't really thought of the importance of that, but you see that so many things of the things she was exposed to into her life actually influenced majority of her life up until now. I love the part where she spoke about the fact that she was selling like ice blocks. I think they called it Kool-Aid, but we call it ice block. I know we used to buy it for 50 cents. I also went to buy it from the shops. So I loved how that brought up, an entrepreneurial spirit, helping her to take risks and, so many skills that she learned from that. She was also speaking about how at her school they had a reading hour, and I'm very passionate about reading. So it really shows how all these tiny blocks of things that children are exposed to in their early lives really does impact how they turn out. So I really enjoyed that, and it emphasized the importance of exposure of children to the things that you would actually like for them to carry forward within their lives. So that was really great. And then she moved on and she spoke about boarding school. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I have been to boarding school, and I was in boarding school for 6 years. Okay, so I could identify with her. She brought up the advantages of being at a boarding school, the disadvantages of it as well. Boarding schools are very, very different. And she also said it's important for people to do research, make sure it's a good school, because if it's a good school, trust me, it's a great school. I went to one of the great boarding schools, but also there are different boarding schools, so don't be blindsided. Check out and really see what the boarding school is all about. So she shares her experience about that, in the teen years, and just exploring herself, more of her identity and how that impacted her. So I really, really enjoyed that. Now moving on, she spoke about losing her father at a young age. So it was it was a very personal story, and I could also identify with her because I lost my dad at a very young age. So the impact of that, now you raised by single parent, and during that time it was apartheid and stuff like that. So she speaks about her experience on that and how she was like, sometimes I wish my dad would be here and actually be so proud of me and what I have done. So the impact of that is really deep. I think even if you're not necessarily like having had your father passed away, but not having the presence of your father or your mother in your life, you could identify with the emotions that come with that, and the dreaming of, oh my God, I'm sure if he was here, I would be so spoiled and all that. But yeah, it was great. And now moving on to the fact that Mandela actually stepped in and played that role in her life. Guys, Mandela was involved. He was involved even if he wasn't physically present. He would write letters to her, and those letters, ladies and gentlemen, he was so loving. I mean, At the beginning of every letter, he would be like, my darling Ndileka. I'm like, yes. And then at the end of it, he would be like, affectionately Mkulu. So I loved seeing a grandparent, more especially, a black man, being so affectionate and open about his love. He wanted to be there to give her the lessons that were needed in life from, the dating, or he wanted to know about her dating life. I'm like, Mandela, a whole entire president of the nation. I mean, he was playing a significant role within politics. You wouldn't think that he's that involved, but he wanted to know if she had a boyfriend, and all that. So I just loved to see, that kind of love and involvement. It's something that we are not exposed to, and to bring it up, I almost felt like literally those letters, like they were for me. I'm just like, imagine the letters that he wrote to Winnie Madikizela Mandela. Like, I just want to read them because they are just filled with so much love, like so much joy, so much care. Like, you would feel his presence even if he wasn't around. You'd feel that he cared, he was involved, he wanted to be there. Actually, he was there. He was very, very passionate about education and made sure that, Ndileka went to school, anything that she needed with regards to school, to a point where he could even be angry. He's like, go to school, be at school, and stuff like that. So it was just a beautiful relationship. You should read more about it. So many things that they discuss, and just how it evolves, and like, that was just beautiful. That was just so beautiful. So yes, and then she went into talking about important things like depression, and how that it's so easy. I thought depression, like, you must really have like drastic things happen in your life, but she made it so simple to understand that it's so easy to fall into things like depression, things such as somebody you love passing away, the impact of that. So I really got to get in touch with what that means and how that could look like from reading her story, and how I could actually heal if I was ever in such a position. She shares the tips. Like, I was like, this is a full comprehensive book. You get the story, you get the teachable moments, the lessons. It's an all-in-one type of book. And she also went into relationships. I think that is just great, because that's very personal information. I commend her for sharing that part of her life, bringing in her different experiences, how she felt about them, the types of relationships. She goes deep, and that was just a vulnerable, I think that's a vulnerable space to allow people in, and she was so open about it. I learned so much about relationships from her, as a woman, as a grown woman, So yeah, thank you for sharing that. Thank you, because hey, whew, it takes a lot. It takes a lot. So yes, then she went on to share, moving within her career. I enjoyed reading about her career, all the way from changing, the beginning of her career, not making so much money, like, not having it all together at that point, at different points, and also building it up again, building her identity, separate from being a Mandela, what she's passionate about, being true to herself, following more and more of her passion the more she grows up. So it was just so cool to really see the process of the change and how it unfolds, all in a book without having to actually live the experience. So that was a great part. I really, really enjoyed that. And even today, she's doing great work. So yes, that's mostly what I learned about the book. Now let's move on to what I loved about the book. Listen, I felt like I'm at home. There's something special about reading African literature. You can literally relate. She was putting out Xhosa phrases and also interpreting them. I was just like, oh, this is so beautiful. I'm gonna know Xhosa much more. She was being real. Another thing is that she included photos. You could see the different people that she spoke about. I don't know, and I'm like, whoa, this lady has got style for days. My goodness. At 18, she put in a photo and she was 18. And later on, I think she was celebrating her 50th birthday. I'm like, yes. So I really, really loved that. It was so cool to just read a story that is raw, that is real. It wasn't just, oh, perfect and all that. It was the ups, the downs. I really enjoyed that. I think the one thing that I was like, ooh. So listen, the thing about reading, I think, is it memoirs or biographies, is that there are so many different names involved, like families involved, and I'm just like, ooh, let me read back again. Who's that one? So it would have been cool to have like a family tree. I know I'm an accountant, and I'm always building trees and models to see who falls under what and whose child and what again. So it would have been great to just have like a young, family tree to just, quickly go like, oh, it's this one or it's this one's daughter. So that would have been, great. But this was a great book. I related with it so much. I learned so much from it at the same time, and I just enjoyed, it's like being in her shoes and living through, she's taking you through the different experiences that she had. And I think that is just beautiful, especially because, sometimes you like to read those stories, you're like, ooh, this person grew up in America, you can't relate, but she was right here and she was having South African experiences, some things that I know about, some things that I go through. So it was so great. The impact that it definitely has in my life is great, and I really loved it. I really loved it. So I would say that women can read it, just to learn different emotions, to learn different experiences, different things that you could go through, and it just gives you a perspective in life, opens you up to the different things that can be done. So yes, thank you so much for the book, and I really, really enjoyed it. Thank you, guys.